This is a short presentation to start the public conversation about a beloved and central part of our city, Bountiful. As Bountiful has seen a downtown revitalization in recent years, a major and missing part of that effort has not been addressed. We've seen new businesses downtown, new housing, a museum, cleaned up property, an addition of a town square featuring water play, ice, and roller skating opportunities. Nothing could be more central to these efforts than to realize the central feature, that of the Bountiful Tabernacle. It's the principal symbol of our city and the city's oldest surviving structure in its original location, and perhaps the second oldest structure in the state. These aerial shots were taken in 2016 for a series of historical films about the tabernacle that now show at the Bountiful Museum on Main Street. The building was last renovated almost 50 years ago when it was slated to be torn down. An alarmed citizenry jumped in and convinced the authorities to reconsider. Recently, in October of 2020, a few pictures were taken of its present state. Here is part of the steeple balustrades that laid around for days after a windstorm. Here's the missing section up on the steeple, then the rest of the remaining pieces removed. The cement on the steps were deteriorating and are generally aged. There are signs of wood rot in the columns, and the U.S. flag was displayed with torn edges. The grass and the grounds were definitely showing signs of stress and neglect. These are but some quick observations at the time. We certainly recognize that maintenance issues are an ongoing year-to-year activity. As an active LDS chapel as well, the oldest operating LDS chapel in the world, we know that it's the responsibility of the church authorities to review and recommend upkeep. But we're hoping to start the discussion about work that would go beyond just maintenance, and we think it's a community interest, not just a church consideration. The tabernacle is central to our history and our civic identity. Look what's been done as an example for the Brigham City Tabernacle. The grounds particularly have been enhanced and beautified. Having the temple across the street was an added advantage, but the area has become a great source of civic pride and revitalization for Brigham City. This is the aerial view above the tabernacle in Brigham City, and it shows the water features, the pathways, flower beds, the greenery, and other details that have enhanced the tabernacle and the area. Could we not consider that the grounds of the Bountiful Tabernacle, in particular, need a new revitalized design and enhancement? What now exists could only be explained as minimalist. Hardly a flower to be seen, very little shrubbery, and no water features, monument, raised flower beds, or other features. No imagination in walkway access. Let's consider the building of itself, the tabernacle, for a moment. This may be one of the earliest known photographs of the tabernacle as it looked 30 or 40 years after construction. Many may know that this was the first tabernacle to be built by the Latter-day Saints, finished in 1862. Note the contrasting wall, trim and corners, and wraparound early steps. Sometime in 1906, Bountiful's famous east wind blew the spires off the top, which remained that way for nearly 50 years. Note the cornerstone work helps contrast with the adobe brick walls and other features. The interior was changed around 1894 when perhaps some of the exterior was enhanced. In 1910, little had changed and was still a community gathering place. This was a 4th of July celebration. Somewhere between that 1910 photo and before the additions that were added around 1925, the tabernacle looked like this. The front steps were altered and side walls on the steps were added. The building was enhanced with contrasting colors in steeple, facades and the cornerstone work contrasted with the adobe walls. Here's another photo in that time frame after missing spires, still missing the spires, but before additional construction. This shows the contrasting textures and colors that give the structure a distinctive charm. And here again, some landscaping work was done before the addition, but still showing the wall texture and contrast that enhanced the building. The 1925 additions added classrooms and a stage for theatrical performances. This may have been when the entire structure was painted completely white, to give what was thought at the time a uniform look, but the aesthetic charm and the historicity was lost. Nothing structurally has been done for almost 50 years. As a symbol of our community, our history, and our civic pride, can we open the discussion on how this marvelous heritage can be restored closer to its original look and enhance the surroundings to better complement the structure and the commitment of our city to beautifying and enhancing our community through this great heritage? We have asked some local architectural restoration experts, masonry professionals, and designers to contribute some ideas. We think it's time for some changes. We're willing to make this a private, civic, and church partnership if needed, but let's start the conversations.